You are now listening to the Cinnamon and Sugar Podcast featuring DeAngelo Williams and Gary Barnage. You push play and they'll push the limits.
It's your boy Tom here, and we are back with another episode of the Cinnamon and Sugar Podcast.
Did he sound a little weak right there? Usually he's a little more into it. It sounded like he wasn't into this one.
Super weak.
Well, you know what it was?
Are you okay over there?
My boy slipped up on Gary's slick back hair over there, and so it tripped me up.
Nice.
I like my hair laid back.
Nice.
So how was your weekend, fellas? I gotta hear this. Oh, I feel like I'm gonna have to start with Gary because I feel it's the same thing every week.
Last week was different. This week's going to be different. I don't want to hear it.
Okay. So, I want to hear what's different.
So I actually had a few buddies over, and I was forced to watch terrible March Madness games because I don't care about sports. I don't watch very many sports anymore. I watch a little bit, and March Madness this year is just no reason to watch. There was no dominant team in March Madness or even in college basketball this year. I know people will say Gonzaga, but their schedule doesn't make them dominant just because they went undefeated, but they have a good player. So I had some buddies over, and we had our punishment startment of our fantasy football league.
So what did you? Hold on. Don't just breeze over this. What did you finish in your fantasy football?
Me, I finished fourth this year.
Fourth. And how many guys were in this fantasy football
12.
league? 12. And how many have to pay debt? Just the last one?
The last two.
Ooh, 2 out of the 12. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So there's a bigger loss for the last, but the last two have to do something, which we'll catch time in that next year because I heard he's gonna come dead last next year, so he's gonna have to do this punishment.
Time doesn't come dead last.
So the punishment is they actually have to put together a 10-minute wrestling match in my wrestling ring.
Hold up.
Against each other, and 10th place gets to lose to 9th place.
Hold on. Let me make sure I get this straight. And we don't know, and I don't want you to tell us who came in 9th place, who came in 10th. Y'all keep that amongst y'all, so we'll know then who came in last place based on who won or lost.
Yeah.
They'll get more eyes on it, I think. So do these guys know anything about wrestling? First of all, to agree to this punishment.
No, I don't think anybody really, maybe other than Time, watches wrestling, knows anything about wrestling. But they all agreed to it before the season started in fantasy football.
Bro, this is going to be a shit show.
So my job is to choreograph the match for them, show them what they need to do. I'm not a professional. I know little bits and pieces of how to fall, all that kind of stuff for them. So I'm doing very generic, easy things so they don't hurt themselves. And just getting them to learn to fall is hilarious. It was ridiculous because the first thing you do, They did it without me walking out there. I hadn't got out there yet, and they were practicing falling. And what's the first thing you think happened, D, when they fell?
I'm going to say somebody hit their head.
100%. When the first thing you do is you got to tuck your chin. And they didn't even wait for me to get out there before they learned to fall. So then from then on, now they were scared to fall because they were worried about hitting their head.
See, I didn't think about that. Well, hold up. They're going to put on a 10-minute match but not knowing shit about wrestling?
Yeah, I know.
Who set this up? Who agreed to this?
So what I have to do to get them warmed up for it is I had to grab a mattress and throw it onto the ring so they could fall on the mattress so they don't actually fill the ring.
This is all at Gary's house. This is all at Gary's house. I want to make sure y'all understand the rich guy. This is all at Gary's house. This is not like them packing up and going to a gym that's close by. This is at his house. But go ahead. I just wanted to make sure because they probably thought you was putting in some unnecessary road time when all you just did was walk over.
So I grabbed the mattress and set it out in the ring, and they learned to fall. They were still scared to fall on it, but one was better than the other. I'll give it to one of them. He actually jumped off the top ropes onto the mattress.
That shit don't mean nothing. Stomach. It doesn't mean nothing. I'm going to tell you why it don't mean anything. I did the same shit before my TNA match and I almost broke my damn back on TV. So I'm not having that. That means nothing.
But the thing is, like, they're not going to jump off the ropes in their match. They're not going to do anything crazy.
Gary,
it's very simple.
Tell DeAngelo about the expert that you brought in to help teach the wrestling. that large piece of wood that stands up on two
Yeah,
legs.
so I brought an expert in, so he was helping going over everything. His name is Table. He came in and he was giving up his stuff so that way he could show people how to actually land from the top rope. So the first time they messed up, but the second time when he did his front flip, he went right through, and the Table was super happy.
I see what
So in
y'all
case
did
people
there.
don't know
Y'all
what that's in
practiced that
reference
shit before the
is,
show today.
that was
Okay.
not practice, but in case people don't know, that's in reference to like what D'Angelo mentioned, his wrestling match where he overshot the table and almost scorpioned himself. Basically did.
Yeah,
So
How
it's
did y'all
gonna
make
go-
this about me, man? This is
go
not
on
even my
YouTube.
weekend. This is about you, Gary. How you
Go on
gonna bring me into this shit to bring me down? Look,
no,
I had
I'm clarifying for the listeners so they know what we're talking about.
Right. He wants to give our listeners a background on the expertise of
we
his
don't
coach.
need that though. We
So
don't need that time. They don't need
just for clarification, pause. And this is where D'Angelo is going to come in because time is going to interlude the video of this on the podcast. So you're going to get to see this as soon as I stop talking. You ready, Time?
Come on, D'Angelo. What? He has not been scared of anything all night. The front.
There it is. Look
See,
at
and that is the video I'm talking about. See, learn. And he retired after that day.
bro. Look.
Okay, now
I can't believe that just happened. Did y'all? You sure that y'all didn't plan any of
There
this
was
shit?
no
Because it
planning.
seems
This
like it's
all
going
off
off.
the top of the head. This is like this is serve the story. We're working
Right.
live for you.
No, man.
But
What I
real
feel
life.
like this is a group chat without me in it. Is what I feel like this is. That's what this is about right here. I get in this group chat, damn it.
That was a perfect. That was perfect, Time.
I love it. I love it.
So D, how was your weekend?
Yeah.
You know what? This is not about my weekend yet because I have so many questions for these poor souls that you're about to get in this squared circle and have them wrestle for 10 minutes, bro.
Yeah.
For 10 minutes. I got so let's finish up with your weekend first, though, Gary. Is anybody one of those that work out? Because 10 minutes is a long time in the ring.
So one of them does some working out with a trainer and he runs. But I would not say he's not in like physical athletic shape. The other one, he looks like he's in athletic shape, but he's not. So I would say neither one of them are really in shape and are really prepared for the conditioning that's going to have to come in to put on 10 minutes and not be dying of breath.
Okay, so I have to ask this, and these are wrestling questions.
Just for reference, we also played dodgeball. One of the guys that did it, he rolled his ankle just walking while playing dodgeball. Not even running, walking, rolled his ankle.
Shit.
So he's got really stable ankles.
Oh shit. Okay, so so here's the thing. This is why I feel like you're gonna have some very interesting situations arise because you can either go like a big spot where somebody gets maybe body slammed or something like that. That'll get you 45 seconds, or you got to teach them the skill of like put them in an arm bar, reverse arm bar. You got to get them to work. So this is going to be very interesting because for 10 minutes, are you putting together like a shitty match, or are you putting together a match that you would like for us to see?
So I told them it's going to be something they have to make it look realistic because I do plan on filming this.
So how do we? But I want to believe it though, Gary. I don't know about you. I don't know about Time because anybody can go out there and put a 10-minute match on that shit. Like, come on, man. Like, you could give us something. Give us energy. We want to see the theatrics. We want to see people take live bumps. We want to see wrestling, bro. If they're not going to give you wrestling, this is a horrible lost strategy, if you get what I'm saying.
So, D, I think you can attest to how my choreography skills work with the battle royal we had with the Amazing Race crew.
Yes.
So that was something that me and you put together, and I think you have confidence with that. That looked pretty dope. So I think I'll have a pretty good shot. But even though I will say they probably knew even less than what these two know. So I have a little bit to work with because they're So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting.
This is why it's gonna be interesting, Gary. And I don't think you taking this in consideration. I'm not downplaying your skills, not by no means at all. But what the difference is, you had 14, 15, 16 people to work with. You only got 2.
Correct.
You only
Everything's
got 2
gonna be on them. Correct.
Yes. and nobody knows shit. We took the big bumps in the match because we knew exactly what we were doing. But then they did enough redirecting. But these are two guys. Somebody has to take a bump.
Let me ask this: did either of them at least like wrestle on a trampoline growing up? Because I've never taken a bump. At least I've done some moves on a trampoline when I was younger, like a little bit of stuff.
I asked that question, so we will have to find that out.
All right. Yeah,
man, that's interesting.
Just wait till next year when Time has to do the match.
Here's the thing: Time. Everyone knows the last place people are the people that give up halfway through the season and stop paying attention. That's never going to be Time. Time's going to put in his due diligence. But my question is, Gary, are you making them sign a waiver by stepping into the Gary Barnage ring of punishment? Because if they get hurt, they see how rich you are, they might come after you.
When you drive through my gate, you're signing a waiver.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's okay.
Yes. He doesn't care who you are or how you relate to him. You are signing a waiver. Me, my wife, and kids had to sign one. So yeah, he don't give a damn black, white, green, orange, or yellow. If you cross over his threshold, you signing a waiver.
I just protect myself. I can't be everywhere at the same time, so I just got to make sure I'm safe.
This is what I think
is funny. This is what I think is funny though. This is and I don't think I've ever had this opportunity to ask. So Gary sets up a date. Uber driver drops her off at Gary's house. How do you ask this young lady to sign a waiver, bro? Wow, she's at your house. How do you hey, normally I don't do this, but sign this waiver.
Well, for one, I'm pretty sure Uber's not coming to my house, so I don't really have to worry about that situation.
Are you talking about the waiver on the way to the house if you're bringing somebody over?
That's
what I'm saying. Can you imagine?
Yeah, that's a unique situation. I just get everybody to sign a waiver. It's just I gotta protect myself.
What I'm saying.
Because
Gary goes out to a bar. She's a nice lady.
You got a wrestling ring. I have a pool.
He has everything that you want.
If you know how to swim or not. You say you do. I'm gonna trust you do. I can't
be everything. Gary, don't you have pools?
So I guess the question is this now, Tom. The question is this now, Tom. If he does not ask them to sign a waiver, should I feel upset that me and my wife and my kids had to sign? Okay, that's all I'm asking.
Everybody signs a waiver.
Okay, I'm just saying because I find it hard to believe that at 2 a.m. in the morning, when you leave the bar and you bring somebody back with you,
I need you to explain something to me.
Them to sign the waiver.
When's the last time I've ever been out at a bar?
I don't care. I'm painting a picture. You're going to let me paint this picture.
2 a.m. for 2.
Yeah. Well, anywhere, Gary. Anywhere. You could have been at a BET after party, Gary, and you found somebody that you like, and you like, you know what? I think I want to bring her back. You bring her back, is the conversation about this waiver in the car, or do you wait till you get home?
Get the waiver signed.
Wait, here's the question. What if he realizes that he's out of waivers? Does he call his dad? Hey, Dad, can you print out this waiver?
No, they're on my home screen on my computer. I can just hit print. It's fine.
He's sending them electronic copies in their email telling them the DocuSign.
PDF form. Yeah, I need you to sign this, please. We stop at the gate. You can't. Oh, you haven't signed it yet. I can't. Oh, I can't come in. Sorry. You guys sit out here. Bye.
This is legendary, bro. This is legendary. This is legendary shit. Hey. A-Rod or whoever y'all is out there signing these non-disclosures, these NDAs.
See, mine's not NDAs. Mine's just waivers to protect myself if you get hurt on my property. Yep. I can't control it. Same thing I do with my blob party every year. If you come to my blob party, you have to sign a waiver to do anything on any of the toys.
Did you hear that rich shit in his voice, Tom? Let me make sure. On your property. How big is your property, Gary?
Probably just as big as yours.
That's not what I asked you, Gary. I asked you how big is this property that you speak of?
My property? I have 10 acres. I live in Florida. It's cheap.
So this is Gary's compound, is what you're saying. Okay. So, so getting to what I did this weekend, I had some fun this weekend, Gary, because look. This is what I understand, and this is what I'm trying to pick up, and you understand what I mean when I start talking. So my father-in-law, he decided that he was going to cook this weekend, and He first of all, he made some au gratin potatoes. They were from a box that he put in the microwave and that he put on the table. My daughter took a scoop of those au gratin potatoes and was like, "Man, these are really good. Who made the potatoes?" My father-in-law goes, "Oh yeah, that was me. I knew my potatoes were good." I go, "Dad, those are boxed potatoes, bro. Like if I can do what you can do in the kitchen, you ain't do nothing special. Don't take credit for the box." And Dad goes, "What? You don't eat boxed potatoes?" And I said, "Look, I that's not the problem here. The problem isn't that I don't eat boxed potatoes. As a matter of fact, I think boxed potatoes are delicious. But what I'm not going to do is let you take credit for something that the box produced." And he still to this day does not understand what I mean by that. And then he goes, "Oh yeah, you don't this or you don't need that because it's not from scratch." And I said, "Go, Dad, no. You took this all wrong. I don't care if it's from scratch or if it's in the box. I'm just saying that you get more credit for stuff you make from scratch than you do from a box. It's not that I don't eat it. I love it, actually. Some I prefer over from scratch."
Right.
I just want to ask you guys, was I overboard with that? I mean, did you understand my argument here?
So I agree with you on that. My only question is, does he add any other seasonings? Does he
It
add anything to
doesn't
make it his own?
matter. It doesn't
No,
matter, Gary.
it does.
If
Because
if
if I bought something from a box and you ate it and it was bland, but then I make it and I add other stuff to make it taste different, then yes,
Gary,
now I get to claim
I
a
am
little.
not gonna let you run my blood pressure up this day. I'm not gonna let you do that. I am not. If the beast, if the base of your recipe,
The beast.
if the base of your recipe is what came in the box, it's not yours, Gary. If you add a little salt, a little pepper, some paprika, and maybe some Caesar sauce, that's still not your recipe, Gary. It's still not yours.
Well, there's no recipes yours unless you make anything without any help from anything else. So everything is
Okay,
always
so now
copy.
you want to get technical. You get what I'm
Dang
saying.
right.
You get what I'm saying. You're just trying to be right here. I'm just trying to say, was I doing too much by saying, "Hey, Dad, I you
No,
get credit for
I'll say
pushing the
no.
button." Okay.
I,
That's fine.
I'm
I'm gonna say I'm on board with you in the sense of if you have a box something and you just cook it and you bring it out and it is what it is, then yeah, for sure. If you cook it, throw a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper on there, and that bring it out, then I'm still on your side. But like Gary said, if they have this box and it's just the materials and the like you said, it's the base, but there's some like special way they cook it, something special they add that enhances the flavor beyond what a little bit of extra seasoning can do, then is where I might give them a little bit of credit. But they still are like, okay, yeah, that's good, but it's not like you made it from scratch. It's not like you made it from
I'll
home
give you an
recipe.
example. I'll give you an example. D, your wife makes spaghetti, right?
Right.
She uses noodles from a box.
Okay.
Okay. Where does she use her sauce from?
I don't know. She doesn't tell me anything. I'm
So,
not standing over her when she's cooking.
but I know she adds other flavors into it because it's
Right.
amazing. But I'm not gonna say she's just copying it from a box, or if that came from Prego, I'm gonna say
Oh,
that's her recipe because she
I'm
added
not.
a bunch and changed the taste of it.
Hold up, Gary. It gets even better. I'm not even done yet. This is just
Okay,
the
sorry.
beginning of the weekend, right? So then I go over to my brother's house. I go over to Zach's house, and I'm like, "Zach, his girl, she cook, right?" And we was rehashing the conversation, and we was talking about who eat what, like who eat, box stuff, who don't eat box stuff. And I was like, "Yeah, I eat box mac and cheese. That's my thing. I think it's delicious. I think it's great." There's a lot of people out there that say, "Oh, that's gross. That's nasty." Case in point, me going over Zach's house. I'm sitting at the table. Somehow we got on it and we talking. And I was like, "Ooh, these greens look good." She made a pot roast. She made some cornbread and she made some greens. And I'm like, "Ooh, this look good." And he was like, "Oh yeah, man. She make the best greens I ever tasted in my life." And I'm like, "Ooh." So now I'm excited about the greens. Like, "Ooh, these greens about to be life changing." And I go, "Pokey, how do you make your greens?" And she said, "Oh, they canned greens." And I go, wait, what? And Zach goes, well, she asked about the stuff. She said, no, I don't add anything. I put them in there. I push a button to warm them up. And that's how I give them. I was like, well, what kind of cornbread is that? She was like, oh, that's Jiffy. And I'm like, oh, she was like, what, you don't eat box? I was like, no, I absolutely love box stuff. I have no problem with that. I am glad that you're not taking credit for that. But there's other people that are giving you credit, i.e. my brother, for something that's just in a box or a can. But in that same breath, she told me that I was nasty because I ate box mac and cheese.
See,
Box mac and cheese.
I
Yes, I
had
eat box mac
I
and cheese.
had deluxe craft boxed mac and cheese this weekend, and it was amazing.
Ooh.
You
No,
did
I'll
not?
tell
what I'm
y'all.
saying.
I'll tell y'all the one to hit is the white cheddar Cracker Barrel mac and cheese. That's the one.
So,
Go
okay,
ahead.
question, D, real quick. I know
But you see what I'm
both
saying? So
greens.
some
Yes.
people have a strong, yeah.
I
some
know
people
what you're
have-
talking about. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
go ahead.
we're just taking each other off. That's fine. No, it's like I've had the same greens you're probably talking about. My dad makes greens. I love greens. My question to you with greens: do you add vinegar or no?
No, I don't have vinegar.
Yeah, I like
eat 'em-
vinegar
I
in
eat them with
mine.
raw onion though. I eat
See,
them with raw
I don't
onion.
like onion, but I like vinegar in mine.
Yeah. But see, here's the thing though. I don't care if they're fresh greens that somebody go pick and cook, or I don't care if they're canned greens. I eat them both the same.
Yeah,
Greens.
it's just whether you take credit.
Yes. Yes. So my brother was giving her credit for something that she do in the can. And he was like, when she said it, he was like, I was like, oh yeah, bro. You got canned or box taste buds. That's what you got them. It's cool. It's cool. That's it's all right. There's nothing wrong with that because I also have a little bit of that. I don't have any hard stance on anything. Like there's people that like his au gratin potatoes that he put in the stove or I mean he put in the microwave that was in the box. People was like, I don't eat that. Have you ever ate boxed au gratin potatoes?
Yes.
I apparently that's all I've ever eaten because apparently it was told to me that the ones that they serve in restaurants come from boxes. So I'm like,
I've
okay,
had both. I've had homemade. I've had box. They're both good. Like,
dude, is there a difference, bro? Is there a difference?
honestly, it depends on what season you use. Because some people, when they cook homemade, they don't use the same season that comes in the box. So it might taste a little different, but it's not bad. Like it's not like there's not one like tremendously better versus the other one. To me, it's more like if you're gonna add cheese to it. Like if you add like another topping to it, then that's when it makes it more. Like I'm a cheese guy. I love cheese. So if you add cheese to au gratin potatoes, I'm gonna think they might be a little better just because there's cheese on it.
Okay. All right. That's what I did this weekend. I've had a great time having those conversations with my father-in-law and with my wife and my mother-in-law. It was amazing because those are the conversations that came out of it. We watched a little wrestling, but we ain't gonna talk about that. We'll talk about week Fast Lane Fiend coming back. We'll just talk about that next week. I need to catch us up on what you cut me off on last week though.
Oh yeah, what happened?
So what I was saying was before Gary Barnage so rudely interrupted me with a mute last week. Just brutal. I know, Tom. I know. I was saying that the greatest defensive player of all time is playing right now. He's playing right now. And Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald will go down as the greatest defensive player to ever play this game. He's already there already. 3 defensive MVPs. He's been playing for 7 years. He has 85.5 sacks. Let's just go through history. Let's go number 1. Number 1, Bruce Smith. He played 200. He has 200 sacks, and he played for 18 years. Again, 7 years, 85.5 sacks. Number 2, 198 sacks is Reggie White. 15 years. Again, at 85.5 sacks in 7 years. And you probably say, hey, even if he played for 14 years and he double it, that's still not 200 sacks. That's still not 198 sacks. Let me tell y'all something about Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald plays defensive tackle. Okay? If you look at the top 15 or 20 defensive players, they either play defensive end or outside linebacker, in the exception of one, and that's John Randall. When he played for Minnesota, he's the only defensive tackle that's up there, and he's going to pass him. That's why I'm telling you right now that Aaron Donald will be and is right now the greatest defensive player to play this game thus far.
So I will say,
my mind.
I'll say you're sticking
Changed
with.
my mind.
I'll say you're sticking with your guns on that you think older players it's harder to give because it's different eras. Because I know everybody's argument's always Lawrence Taylor. Well, Lawrence Taylor is one of the greatest of all time. He's one of the best He's arguably one of the best defensive players of all time. That's always one of the arguments. I don't disagree. He could go down and may go down as the best defensive player of all time. I don't know if I would say he is right. But that's right now. You can't foretell it in the future. Yes, you can think he's going to, and he is definitely the best player right now. But you got to wait till his career's over. And I always say that with time. We always talk about you have to wait till the career's over before you determine where you're at. So my personal, which I'm probably sure is the same as time, and it's because we both play with him, D. Julius Peppers. And my only reason why Julius Peppers is because obviously I played with him. I saw him on a daily basis. So let me explain why. So
I need to hear this. I need to hear this.
So you've seen this. I have seen this. Obviously, we didn't grow up watching Bruce Smith. We knew about him, all that kind of stuff. We watched Reggie White, but we didn't really understand the game at that time. So we didn't really understand. And I know I haven't gone back and watched. So I might change. My opinion might change when I went back and watched some of those games. But I'm using the same logic y'all use of what you're seeing now. We played against Peppers. I've seen Jordan Gross was an all-pro tackle. I've literally seen him pick him up and move him to the side and then go hit the quarterback. I've never seen any other player do that. And this was an all-pro tackle. It wasn't just a random guy. Mm-hmm. It was an all-pro. I've seen him involving you. DeAngelo, you called a screen on the right side. Julius Peppers was on the left. He ran around the line and chased you down from the back. He's 300 pounds.
Why you got to bring up old shit, Gear? Why you always got to bring me up in your stories, bro? Stop bringing me up in your stories. Stop bringing me up. Stop using me as your analogy, bro. Use somebody else. Use time.
It's gross. But no, so the only knock I have on Pep, and I think he was for me, he was influential because he was really helpful as coming in as a rookie. He was willing to help me get better. He's like, hey, put your hands here when you punch, do all that kind of stuff. You don't have a lot of guys that would have done that, do that. He was a big star at that time. He was willing to help a rookie tight end who had to block him. For me going in, I don't know how I was supposed to block him because I knew it was going to be impossible.
Okay, so I want to make sure you understand what I'm saying. The greatest defensive player of all time.
So just because of what we see, this is where it's hard for me to say he's the best. I think he is arguably, to me, and obviously
we ain't talking about arguably. We're talking about the best.
Well, okay, yeah. If my personal scene would be Peppers, but obviously I'm going to stick with probably Lawrence Taylor right now. But
what?
Because my knock on Pep though is he did not play hard every down. Aaron Donald does. I will give you that. Aaron Donald, that's why I think Aaron Donald will probably go down as the greatest of all time. Just right now because his career's not over. If Pep went hard every time, you know how dangerous he would have been. He didn't go hard every time, and he had 159 sacks. And that is ridiculous because he probably went maybe 70% of the time. You knew, we all saw it, but he had the ability to do that. If he wanted to go, no matter who you weren't stopping him. And that's the thing. He could have easily broke the sack record if he went every play, which, again, that's fine. He was still amazing. And the fact that he was able to do that. So to me, he would be number 2 personally, because I saw him play against them, all that kind of stuff. But I will agree, Aaron Donald probably will go down as the greatest. I would probably go with Lawrence Taylor, or you have Reggie White would be the top 2, would be one, arguably who's number 1 right now in my eyes. But Pep's 2.
All right, I'm going to break this down a little bit. So I obviously I said Julius Peppers last week when he was cutting you off because, yes, I think Julius Peppers is, his nickname, the Freak, for a reason. So it's just
it was Javon Curse, but no big deal.
Well, I thought he was that was just Pep too. I know that was Javon Curse's actual nickname, but people always talk about Peppers being a physical freak, blah, blah, blah. And so what I would equate it to is, because Randy Moss is my favorite wide receiver of all time, but obviously Jerry Rice is pretty well regarded as the best wide receiver of all time to a lot of people. I think Pep is kind of like the Randy Moss of defense, whereas he had the freakish talent, he had the ability just to do whatever he wanted to do, nobody could stop him. but because he took plays off, maybe he wasn't going full stroke every single time. People took that against him, and then therefore his stats aren't necessarily as high as they could be.
Okay, so hold up. Let me make sure I get this straight. Because maybe I have been drinking or something. But are you saying that Randy Moss, that Julius Peppers is the defensive Randy Moss?
Well, not all the way around, but as far as like probably
you can't say that because Randy Moss is arguably one of the greatest wide receivers to ever play this game. Pep name never comes up when you talk about the greatest defensive player of all time.
I think it would, as far as like DN.
No, I'm talking about period. I'm talking about Aaron Donald is the best defensive player of all time. Not position-wise. I'm talking about period.
Right, but you said Randy Moss is the best wide receiver. You say best offensive player of all time because then it's like, oh, all these other people come into it. So it's like defensive player encompasses a bunch of different
I'm still rolling
positions.
with Randy Moss, bro.
I agree. I meant there's similar.
Nobody ever brings up Julius Peppers, though. Nobody ever brings up Julius Peppers.
You just had two. You just had two people bring it up.
Right.
Y'all are dicks, man. But go ahead, Ty. Go ahead. I hope I ain't messing up your train of thought, but go ahead.
As far as like the athleticism and the ability to just nobody could stop him. You know, I think that's how Randy Moss was. I always have Randy Moss as my number one receiver of all time because I say that if he had Joe Montana, Steve Young for the majority of his career, aka Hall of Fame quarterback throwing to him most of his career, I think he would have way more stats than he does now. So that's part of the tag team that you need as a receiver. But as far as defensive player, I'd say if I had to buckle down and pick one, I'd say Lawrence Taylor. And like Gary said, Aaron Donald is on his way, but I've always said this even when we talk about other sports. I'm not going to say anything specific, but like let people finish their career before you start comparing them to all-time greats because like we never know whose book has been written, like how many chapters are left in their career. Like Aaron Donald could go on to make it not even a question. Like it's just let him play his career. Once he's done, then we can start having this discussion. But it's hard to have this discussion in the middle of when he's playing because right now it's kind of like we talk about with rappers like Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne, after Carter 3, everybody's like, dang, he's going to be the best rapper of all time because my man just laid out two of the best albums ever. And then you got 10 years later and people are talking about Lil Wayne's whack and he can't rap, blah, blah. It's just, you know what I'm saying? It's like you got to let people's careers play out and then
we don't have to do that at all. We don't have to do that at all. We didn't do it with Tom Brady. So why the hell should we have to wait and do it with Aaron Donald? We 7 years into Tom Brady's career, granted he's played 20, they was always talking about he has the potential to be one of the greats. Now, fast forward, if you just cut half of his career into it, they would have been like he's a Hall of Famer. But even now, year in, year out, he's the greatest of all time. He got that moniker 4 or 5 years ago.
But so why can't we? I don't think anybody gave him that officially until he passed Joe Montana's perfect Super Bowls because he had some losses. So in people's minds, they still had Joe Montana in front of him until Brady got that and matched him and then passed him. And now it's not a question.
Peyton in front of him. I have Peyton and Brady as one too.
So y'all just want to be dicks today. Okay, got it. Got it. Okay. That's how we woke up today. I get it.
Well, like you said, so what happens if Aaron Donald, he's been amazing, but if God forbid something happens and he's not and he got hurt or something, then he would not be considered the greatest of all time because it's cut short.
If Barry Sanders can do it in 9, because these are the numbers that Aaron Donald is putting up. I'm not talking about where you look at it and you look at a J.J. Watt, where J.J. Watt has played 10 years. He had 3 out-of-control, ridiculous years, and everybody's like, oh, he's a future Hall of Famer because he's had 3 great years out of 10. This is not what we're talking about. I'm talking about Aaron Donald has put up these numbers 7 straight years, and he's getting double team. He's getting triple team. It's not like people don't know who he is. And he's still putting these numbers up from defensive tackle. Gary. This is what I'm saying. You understand exactly what I'm saying. I don't think the people out there or Time understand that the things that he's doing at the defensive tackle spot is unbelievable. John Randall, when he played.
He is doing it from the hardest position on the defensive side.
Right.
It's crazy. It's unheard of.
Right.
He's undersized and he's underweighted. at that position, and he's still doing what he's doing. And he plays all
that's
three.
Why I definitely think if he continues on his track, he will go down as the greatest of all time defense player, 100%. I don't discredit that at all. I just, like I said, I don't think you can say it yet because he's still playing. But I do believe he will go down because I think he's going to continue. He hasn't showed a sign of slowing down, and he's still young. So I definitely think he definitely will probably go down as the greatest of all time.
Okay, just to give y'all some stats, because you did say Lawrence Taylor was your guy. Lawrence Taylor had 156 sacks. That's why y'all say he's the greatest of all time, because he got a couple of Super Bowls. Okay,
and an NFL MVP as a defensive player.
He okay, all right.
That's pretty unheard of.
At it, 86 Sport News. Okay, he was in the 100 sack club. Okay, all right. I mean, it's pretty.
And he also played like outside linebacker / like a 3-4 linebacker, outside linebacker. So he also had to cover a little bit. So he might have a few interceptions.
Bro,
but
I'm not trying to hear that shit. If you're an edge rusher, if you're an edge rusher of 100%. Any kind, then you're a defensive end. That's basically what you're on a tackle. You're on an island out there.
How many tackles did he have though?
How many tackles? I think it said let me look up his tackles. I think he had over 1,000. He definitely had over 1,000 for sure. Right here, he had 1,089 tackles. He had 132.5 sacks. He had 56 forced fumbles and 9 interceptions.
Okay, it's that's the thing is like if you're just want to compare that, like Aaron Donald, he has, and I'm looking at his tackles right now. He's got 357 combined tackles.
Aaron Donald does.
Yes.
Okay, in 7 years.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know how many years Lawrence Taylor. I think he played maybe 15. I don't know for sure.
Yeah, this is what's.
Well, and then you had Aaron Donald that forced 6 fumbles total. You just said he had like 50 forced or 30 forced for Lawrence Taylor. But again, he's in different positions. It's harder to force fumbles. I agree at D tackle than it would be from outside linebacker.
I'm just saying the man is great.
No, I 100%. I think he will go down as the greatest of all time if he continues on his current path.
Okay. Right. We just got to give him time. We got to let him finish out his career, and then we can have that discussion.
Can I finish up my weekend?
I thought you already did.
No. This is the last one I finished. Oh, okay. I'm finishing up my weekend. So, I don't know if y'all into stuff like this, but if you are, this is a really good show to watch. So I started WandaVision again. Like, first of all, it has taken me forever to get through WandaVision. I got through the first 2 episodes when it first came out, and I was like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever watched in my entire life. Well, then I caught wind through the grapevine that you got to get to episode 4. You got to get to episode 4. You got to get to episode 4. And I'm like, this will be a good show to watch with the kids. So episode 1 come on. My oldest daughter, she's like, oh, I like this show. Episode 2 come on. My daughter was like, ooh, it's getting better. Episode 3 come on. And I'm like, this is so stupid. These are different shows that they putting together. And then episode 4 hit. And I was like, oh, shit, this is amazing. This is one of the greatest shows I've ever seen, ever. Like, the fucking concept is insane. Out of that show came this. Spoiler, guys. Spoiler. If you don't want to hear what happened in WandaVision, now is the time to turn it off.
I mean, guys, you should be happy because he never gives you a spoiler
That
warning.
Is nice of you, D.
So give us about 7 to 10 minutes, and then you can come back in.
Yeah. So the question came up at this. In WandaVision, because she was holding people against her will, was Wanda a villain?
Yes. At that time, yes.
Was Wanda a villain, Tom?
I think that she had a villainous role without being aware that she was being a villain. So I would say because, she has that hero mentality, but she was just so wrapped up in what she wanted that she didn't realize the pain she was causing other people. So she had villainous actions out, but not with villainous intentions.
Yeah, exactly. No intent, but she was a villain without the intent.
Right.
If that it's can just be a yes or no question, bro.
I say yes.
What, yes or no, Tom?
I'm gonna have to say no. I'm gonna say no.
Okay, so I'm talking to my wife. So I wake up on Sunday. I wake up on yesterday. And because we binge watched it on Saturday because it was so good, I was like, "Look, we got to bang this out, honey." She was like, "Okay, cool, we'll get it out the way."
Wait, we don't need to hear about y'all's bedroom stuff, D'Angelo.
Right? Yeah. So we watch it, and so I wake up Sunday morning and I'm like, "Honey, I'm really confused because I don't know whether I want to pull for Wanda or I want her to fail because she's a villain." And my wife goes, "No, she's not a villain. She was protecting her family." And I say, "Wait, hold up, whoa, 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 whoa." In order for her even to get that family, she would have to enslave all those people before she even started. First of all, let's make sure we get this straight. She said, "Well, you didn't see when they came in that all the people look unhappy." She thought she was making them happy by letting them forget their past lives. I said, "Honey, they was held against their will." She said, "No, they could have left."
No, they couldn't. They weren't allowed to leave. But see, so it's funny because you asked that question: is she a villain? I think, like you said, the first 4 episodes, you don't have any idea, and you start getting a little backstory, and then you thinking, yeah, she's a villain. But then also, she's a villain that you're rooting for because of the way they're trying to treat her when she walks out, and the people are going really at her, and when she just saved the world. She literally saved the world, and then they're trying to still destroy her and all this stuff, and then all the stuff they're trying to do with her. They weren't husband or whatever, but they're her significant other. They were trying to use her to get all that kind of stuff. Then she becomes like the villain that you're still rooting for. That's not a real villain. So I think that's where it became that little twist. Where is she a villain? Is she not a villain? And I think they did that on purpose because they wanted you to figure out where do you fall in line with this situation. But like you said, you hated the first few episodes. Like I saw that a lot when it first came out. People were like, "Oh, I hate this." I think what drew me in was like it was different, but they left a little bitty teaser that each episode that led it. Hey, something's bigger is going to happen. Like in the very first episode, you have the coming through the when they're at the pool, and you have when they come through the radio. Hey, Wanda, what's going on? And you're like, something's going on. What's going on? Something's gonna happen. So it's setting you up, and then it just for the big reveal. So it keeps you intrigued with that little tidbit they do, because I think that plays with what they do after the credits. They were using little nuggets like that to try and keep you engaged for the next episode, because they know it's different to start, and long you just had to get through it. And once you get to it, huge payoffs.
Let me get a little sidebar from y'all. How shocked were y'all when the Agatha all along stuff happened? Because
I loved it.
That was a great twist. That was a great twist. And then knowing that like she was a Scarlet Witch, and then me and my wife over here trying to remember comics and shit. And I'm like, yeah, she was the Scarlet. She was like, was she a villain then? And I'm like, shit, I think she was. Her name was Scarlet Witch. I mean, how many good witches you know other than the one from The Wizard of Oz?
Right. No, but I think it does bring into like the fold a very complex moral dilemma, because if we are so enamored by what we want to make us happy, because nobody would say that what she wanted, a family, kids, the normal life, I don't think anybody would say those are bad things to want. But the way you go about getting it is what turns into, okay, now this is crossing some lines. This is where you probably cross over from the hero to the villain. But then, like you brought up with your wife, she's like, the world, half the people in the world had just died or disappeared. We don't want to say died, they just disappeared. And, maybe she felt like she was making this community and helping them live a normal life, which they were probably unable to live because of half their community probably just disappeared. So maybe she thought she was trying to help them forget all their problems, but without realizing that she was actually torturing them, because you see it whenever they come out of her spell for a minute. They're like, please stop, or the way they look at her with fear, like, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? Like, just there was obviously something going on inside with those powers, and it probably derives from the fact that they are dark powers that she gets them from, and so there's going to be dark reactions when they're used.
So you said something earlier that I disagree with, Time, when you said she was protecting her family. Who said it? Was that you, or did Reese say that?
No, Reese said she was protecting
but it wasn't her family, because it was all make-believe. So she wasn't really protecting them.
Well,
there was no kids. There was no family. It was all fake.
So this is where it's going to have major implications later. So the real Vision, the one that's like not stuck into this time warp, he put all his memories into that Vision, and now he is now the Vision. So had she not made him, she wouldn't have
Correct.
in turn. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it all boils down to she got what she wanted, but she didn't obtain it the way she thought she was gonna get it.
And she still doesn't know about it.
No, she still doesn't know. Right. Yeah. We're the only ones to know, but if there's gonna be a two, it's gonna be that one. Which leads me into my next one. So after we finish binge watching that, we roll right into this new Justice League.
Oh, the sidebar from Marvel to DC.
Yeah. So we go from there, and I'm watching it, and I go to my wife. I go, damn, some of these scenes are very similar to the scenes in the first one. And they got every actor that they had in the first one in this one. So is this a prequel? Is this a sequel? Is this a standalone? What the hell is this dude's name cut? Like, what is all this? I just know that the movie 4 hours and 2 minutes. That's a part-time job. So I'm saying I'm going into this part-time job. I'm an hour and a half into this. I just want to know, what the hell am I watching? Because I'm pretty sure some of these scenes are in the first one.
So to break it down in easy terms, Zack Snyder was touted to be the director of Justice League. He's made it. They had differences, and Josh Weldon took it over and finished it. So a bunch of things were cut out, and the studio made it shorter because Snyder had it like 3 hours and like 20 minutes or 3.5 hours long, and they're like, no, we're not doing that. We're not putting that in theaters. So they cut out so much stuff with backstory of characters, more scenes with characters that made it flow better, and they just pushed out the Justice League movie, which was trash. So this is the Snyder cut, which is 4 hours and 3 minutes, and it is supposed to fill in all those gaps that you didn't know from Justice League because there's more backstory for each character. So it is the same exact. A lot of the scenes are the same, but there's probably 2 more hours of extra scenes that have been added to help fill in and make the story more cohesive and make it flow better and actually make it understanding versus what it was.
And it's not even just adding, but some of the things are slightly different. So what I did was I watched the original that was released in theaters first, just so I had it fresh in my mind. And then I started watching the Snyder cut. And so what I started to notice are things that I think are just like dumb in the original Justice League. Like, first thing, whenever the queen of the Amazons is like leaving the temple, right? And she tells them to seal it up. Well, old buddy had just busted through the temple to come, retrieve the box, and they seal it up. And then like 2 seconds later, he just busts out the side of the thing. But she just like pretty much sacrificed all the Amazons that were in there to seal it up. And it effectively did nothing. So you're kind of like, as a viewer, I'm like, what the hell did you do that for? If it obviously you weren't going to be able to hold him in there. Well, in the Snyder cut, not only does it seal up.
Don't give me too much. I haven't watched it yet.
Well, it's not only does it seal up, but something else happens that adds to the effect of, okay, maybe he won't get out of there. Another one is whenever he's dealing with Aquaman, it's just whenever they come and attack Aquaman's thing, like the stealing of the cube from Aquaman and Atlantis was so quick in the original Justice League. It's like almost an afterthought. And in the Snyder cut, they actually developed the story of how they get to Atlantis, the fight, and then like whenever in the original Justice League, Aquaman comes out and he's like, "Oh, you took a big hit out there," and kind of just like brushes past the fact that he just got his ass whooped. She just got his ass whooped. They just lost this box, and it's kind of like, are you serious? That's how you're gonna react right after you lost the box to this guy? And it's just like it makes no sense. And so in the Snyder cut, you see a backstory, and they don't allow Aquaman to seem as aloof to what's going on.
It's part of that though is also because they actually hadn't released the Aquaman movie yet.
Right.
The movie didn't come out till later that year. Justice League came out first, so they're trying to give you little bit of tidbits without giving too much because they didn't want to take away from the movie. Which even the director of Aquaman said, "Hey, I'm not following anything that happened in Justice League. I'm making my own." And that's what they did, and it was amazing. I enjoyed Aquaman. I thought it was a good movie.
What?
I thought Aquaman was a good movie.
I'm not going to even talk about that. I'm gonna move on, and I got to say this. So you mean to tell me?
So yeah,
I'm looking at
also you asking about the scenes. All these scenes were shot when they were filming it, so they're not reshot later with the same actors.
So you mean to tell me I'm watching the movie twice with just some added? Why they just didn't put that shit on the side? I could have just picked that up. I got to dedicate another 4 hours to this.
It's not only just added, but some of the scenes are rearranged to make it make more sense. And I've only made it full disclosure. I've only made it through 2.5 hours because I actually was watching it right before we got on.
Bro,
but it's
you mean
already.
I got to rewatch a movie that they added shit to?
But it's like watching a brand new movie. I promise it is, because it's a whole different flow of the scenes. And you guys have been in reality TV. You've seen how cutting stuff can make stuff seem a certain way. That's exactly what this is. They cut it a different way, and it makes it seem totally different.
Just know it goes from 2 hours to 4 hours and 2 minutes. That's how much extra footage is put in. So you're basically getting 2 movies.
Right.
And then it's like you said, it's rearranged, it's reorganized, and it flows better to make it more understanding.
I can also get a part-time fucking job too for 4 hours. The hell are you talking about?
That you could.
It just depends on what you want to do.
You act like you don't sit down and binge stuff. You've watched WandaVision.
I do, but my wife asked me today. She asked me yesterday. She said, "Honey, is this the same movie?" And I'm like, "No, honey, this is not the same movie. This shit different." She was like, "It's very rare that when you do a remake that you have all the same actors." And I'm like, "Yeah, honey, like that shit. I guess they signed on for this." But to later find out that it's the same movie, we just added some shit. Like, these are the same tacos you've been getting the whole time, but I'm just adding a little guac and a little jalapeno peppers, and this is call it something else.
Well, really, it's more like you have tacos. I've crushed the shells, and we have a taco salad that I've added way more to. I've had guacamole, so it's the same, but different.
I would say, like you had. I'm gonna use my analogy now. You got steak tacos, and instead you're getting Kobe beef tacos.
Oh, Wagyu.
Wagyu tacos.
He got the rich. I don't even know what that tastes like, but it sounds expensive as hell.
Right?
Shit. I want some Wagyu. Is that a sauce?
We all know Gary grows his own Wagyu beef out there on his compound.
I thought Wagyu beef was a flavor.
My Wagyu cows around here.
I thought Wagyu beef was a flavor. I didn't know it was an actual meat, Gary. What does that taste like?
It's good. I don't really taste the difference, to be honest.
All right, guys. Well, listen, speaking of meat, I want to ask y'all's opinions on Deshaun Watson.
Here we go, bro. That transition was awful, bro. It was good, but that was awful transition, bro. It was awful. That was awful. Hey, time.
Can't even talk.
Sorry.
Time. Mute. We're gonna talk about that next week. We gotta get on.
I like it.
Yeah. Since you did me like that, Gary, that fucking transition was awful, bro. I'm gonna end the show today. He can't even talk.
Time, you can't talk. You're muted. Thank you, sir.
Yes, you can't even talk. Mute yourself, bro. Mute yourself. You are out of line and out of pocket, bro. You can't talk until next week. It's over with for you, man. We want to thank y'all for listening to the Cinnamon and Sugar podcast. We just muted the host because he is out of line, out of pocket, and out of his damn mind. We here on the Cinnamon and Sugar podcast do not support people's meat, okay?
Unless it's Wagyu.
Unless it's Wagyu beef flavor, okay?
Or Kobe.
Not all of us, yeah. This is unbelievable. This just went off the rails. Hey, thank y'all for joining us. We out.
You are now listening to the Cinnamon and Sugar Podcast featuring DeAngelo Williams and Gary Barnage. You push play and they'll push the limits.